you can't save for retirement because you don't have any earned income right now? Well, there's an often overlooked benefit known as a spousal IRA that married couples can use to boost retirement contributions. This podcast will review the spousal IRA rules and what's changed for 2026 that allows more couples than ever to qualify. Whether you're a stay-at-home parent, a student, or maybe just between jobs, I'll explain how to keep your retirement nest egg growing, even without an income. Welcome back to Money Girl, everyone. I really appreciate you downloading the show. I'm Laura Adams, an award-winning author, spokesperson, money speaker, and founder of The Money Stack. That's my Substack newsletter. When you visit lauradadams.com and subscribe to The Money Stack, you'll automatically get invitations to my live educational and Q&A events. I'd love to see you at my next workshop. This is episode 994, and I can't believe it, but that means we are sneaking up on the 1000th Money Girl podcast. This is a huge milestone that's on the horizon, and so I'm planning a special show, and I want to feature comments from listeners like you. Maybe it's something you learned on the show that radically improved your finances. Maybe it's just how long you've been listening. Maybe something like what you appreciate about the podcast or your favorite money tip. Just leave a brief voicemail by calling 302-364-0308 and let me and the QDT team know what's on your mind to celebrate 1,000 Money Girl shows. All right, let's talk about the spousal IRA. As you know, I'm a huge proponent of using retirement accounts. They're terrific ways to save for retirement, but you typically must have earned income like a salary or self-employment income to use one. But as I mentioned, there is an important exception. This is the spousal IRA, and IRA stands for Individual Retirement Account. Now, a spousal IRA isn't a different type of IRA. It's just a rule that allows a married person with earned income to fund their spouse's IRA. But the catch is that you can only have a spousal IRA if you're married and file taxes jointly. Note that an IRA can never be owned jointly, even if you're married. So a spousal IRA must be in the name of the non-qualifying individual, even when it's funded by their spouse's earned income. So again, it's a spouse with income that's going to put money or the household money into a person's IRA who does not have their own qualifying income. So let's talk about the benefits of an IRA, in general. I think to understand the benefits of a spousal IRA, we kind of need to step back and understand the general benefits of IRA accounts and how to use them. With a traditional IRA, contributions have to be made on a pre-tax basis. And that's great because it reduces your taxable income for the year. But when you make traditional retirement account withdrawals in retirement, that's when you pay ordinary income tax on both the contributions and the investment earnings that you pull out of the account. In addition, starting at age 73, you must take required minimum distributions, or RMDs. And starting in the year 2033, the RMD rule will change and it will bump up that required age to 75. The other type of IRA is a Roth IRA. And with this type of account, the contributions have to be made on an after-tax basis, which means they don't give you any benefit in the current year. You do pay tax on the contributions you make to a Roth account. However, the big benefit comes in the future. When you take withdrawals in retirement, they're not taxed. Neither your contributions nor your earnings are going to be subject to tax if you've owned the account for at least 5 years. In addition, Roth accounts have no RMDs. So that means you can just leave the money in the account indefinitely. And that gives you more flexibility. It's, certainly nice to have income in retirement that will not be subject to tax. Plus, it gives you more tax planning opportunities. Withdrawals of any untaxed funds from a retirement account before the age of 59 and a half are subject to income tax plus an additional 10% early withdrawal penalty. Therefore, in general, you should not put money in a retirement account that you might need to spend. It's certainly best to avoid tapping a retirement account early so that it can reach its full growth potential. So now let's talk a little bit about some of the rule changes for IRAs. For 2026, you can contribute an amount equal to your qualifying income up to $7,500, and that's a $500 increase from the year 2025. You can also put up to $8,600 in the account if you're over 50, and that's for either a traditional or a Roth IRA or a combination of both of them, like you could do half in one and half in the other, or any proportion you like. However, there is an income limit to qualify for a Roth IRA, and I'll review that in just a moment. So let's say you're a student, or maybe you're a senior and you're working part-time but just earning a little bit of money. Maybe you're only earning $5,000 a year. In that case, you could only contribute $5,000 to an IRA. But let's say you're older, you're 40 and you're earning $100,000. In that case, the most you could contribute for 2026 is $7,500. You can make IRA contributions regardless of your age. However, as I mentioned, you generally have to have taxable compensation. So this could be a salary, wages, commissions, tips, bonuses, or net income from self-employment. Other types of income like alimony and investment earnings don't count when it comes to compensation for IRA contribution purposes. So as I previously mentioned, if you're married and you file a joint tax return, you qualify for a spousal IRA. So let me give you an example of how it could work. Let's say Jenny and Lenny are under 50 and they decide to start a family. If they file taxes together and one of them says, well, I'm going to stay home, I'm not going to work, I want to be a stay-at-home parent, in that case, each can fully fund an IRA. If they have a household income of at least $15,000, they could put $7,500 in Jenny's IRA and $7,500 in Lenny's IRA. Or if one spouse is over 50, the couple could put in $16,100. That would be $7,500 in one of them and $8,600 in the other IRA. Or if they're both over 50, they could contribute up to $17,200. That would be $8,600 in each of their IRAs. So the spousal IRA contribution can go into an existing IRA if you already have one, or you can open up a new one. You can also use it to max out an IRA if you've just got too little earned income. For instance, let's say Jenny earned $4,000 from a side gig. Lenny's income could be used to max out her IRA. So, she would only be eligible to put in $4,000 based on her own income, but because Lenny has income and they're married and file taxes jointly, he could bridge the gap to get her up to the maximum of $7,500. So don't miss the opportunity to max out an IRA if you're married and you're not working, or let's say you're just earning less than the annual contribution limit for your age. Now, I mentioned that there is an income limit to qualify for a Roth IRA. For 2026, the limit increased, and that's great because it makes more people eligible for these terrific accounts. So here are the updated limits. If you're single and you're, just filing taxes by yourself, you must have a modified adjusted gross income, or MAGI, below $168,000. And married couples filing a joint tax return must have a household MAGI under $252,000. So if you're under those limits, you qualify to make contributions to a Roth IRA. Another important rule is that when your spouse participates in a workplace retirement plan, like a 401k or 403b, your ability to deduct traditional IRA contributions may be reduced or eliminated based on your spouse's income. So this typically applies to high earners. But there is no conflict with maxing out a workplace retirement plan and a Roth IRA in the same year because they have different tax rules. And so, again, you have to qualify based on those income limits that I just reviewed. Remember that for IRAs, you have until your tax filing deadline to make contributions for the previous tax year. So if you want to max out a spousal IRA or just even a regular IRA for 2025, you have until April 15, 2026. As I mentioned, if you already have an IRA, you can use it for a spousal IRA if you're eligible. You can also open a new IRA with any financial institution or investing firm. Just follow these steps. Number one, you just choose a brokerage firm. You might choose the same bank or provider for any other investment you own just to, keep all your accounts together. Or you can choose a totally new financial institution. Just be sure to compare fees and, look at the investments that are available. Number two, you always have to submit some required documentation. It's typically something like your Social Security number and address. Number three, fund your IRA. Once your retirement account is open, you can connect it to a bank account and set up a one-time transfer or recurring deposits. Just be sure your total annual IRA contributions won't exceed the annual limit based on your age. And number four, choose your investments. Funds that you contribute to an IRA can't grow unless you allocate them to investments. I recommend choosing diversified, low-cost index funds that spread your money across a broad range of securities, reducing investment risk. Whether you're married and are a full-time student, taking care of dependents, or looking for your next job, don't miss the opportunity to keep your IRA nest egg growing with spousal contributions. Even if you have zero income, you can still max out a traditional or Roth IRA in an amount based on your age and household income. That's all for now. I'll talk to you soon. Until then, here's to living a richer life. Money Girl is a quick and dirty tips podcast, and I want to thank our fantastic team. Steve Rickyberg audio engineers the show. Holly Hutchins is our director of podcasts. Morgan Christensen is our advertising operations specialist. Rebecca Sebastian is our marketing and publicity manager. Nathaniel Hoops is our marketing contractor. And Maram El Naguib is our podcast associate.